The detonator was small enough to fit in her palm, cold against her skin like a promise. Dr. Kira Okonkwo stood on the obsidian shore of the New Mombasa Reserve, watching 6 harvester ships descend through amber clouds. Behind her, the last preserved ocean from Earth's genetic memory lapped against volcanic sand. Before her, autonomous drones unfolded like steel insects preparing to drain it dry. Her thumb rested on the trigger. One press would detonate the mining charges buried in the planet's mantle, turning this world into a fractured tomb. The Voss Consortium owned the legal right to take the water. She owned the will to destroy it first. Kira had spent 23 years building the New Mombasa Reserve. The water world was a terraform success, a minor miracle in the outer colonies where humanity clung to relevance in a galaxy that had already divided the profitable systems among elder species. She gene-seeded these oceans with samples preserved before Earth's seas were strip-mined to nothing: kelp forests, coral polyps, plankton clouds, the genetic memory of a drowned world. Every organism in these waters could be traced back to Earth's Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Oceans, all gone now, processed into industrial slurry and sold by the cubic light year. She remembered being 7 years old, her grandmother's hand steadying her in the shallows of what remained of Lake Victoria. The water had been murky, poisoned, dying. Her grandmother had smiled anyway and said, "Remember this feeling, Kira. Remember what it means to float." 3 months later, the Voss Consortium drained the lake. Her grandmother never spoke of water again, and Kira never stopped trying to bring it back. The reserve was supposed to be protected. Humanity had negotiated conservation rights when they joined the Galactic Economic Coalition, back when anyone still believed client species had rights that megacorporations respected. But protection meant nothing against debt restructuring. Humanity owed too much to too many, and the coalition had ways of collecting. The New Mombasa Reserve's water, pure, oxygen-rich, teeming with extinct genetics, was worth more than the colony rights humanity had purchased. The mathematics were simple. The Voss owned the debt, therefore they owned the ocean. Kira received the evacuation order 3 days ago. Earth's colonial administration had been apologetic and firm. Comply, abandon the reserve, do not provoke the Voss. They'd given her 72 hours to evacuate research staff and equipment. She'd sent her team away with the data archives. She'd stayed with the detonator. The terraform engineers had left mining charges in the mantle, dormant but functional, insurance against tectonic instability during the ocean seeding phase. Kira had kept them active, just in case. Now just in case had arrived in the form of 6 ships that blotted out the sky. The harvester drones reached the water's edge. Kira watched them unfold extraction booms, silver and efficient, designed to siphon entire oceans in months. They would take everything: the plankton, the genetic samples, the memory itself. They would process it into trade goods and sell it to species that had never seen Earth, never known what had been lost. The water would become currency. The past would become profit. She activated the detonator's arming sequence. Lights flickered green to amber. A 60-second countdown appeared on the display, frozen at 59, waiting for her confirmation. The charges were distributed in a ring around the reserve's tectonic plate. One trigger and the mantle would fracture. Seismic cascade. The planet wouldn't explode. Terraform worlds were built sturdier than that. But the crust would shatter enough to render resource extraction impossible. The water would drain into the mantle, superheated, lost forever. She would die in the quakes. That was acceptable. Her comlink chirped. She ignored it. It chirped again, insistent. Then the air before her shimmered and solidified into a holographic presence, a towering figure of crystalline geometry, refracting light through facets that shifted with calculated thought. Shard Merchant Vex, the Voss overseer assigned to this extraction. Dr. Okonkwo. Its voice resonated like chimes through glass. We detect armed seismic devices. You will deactivate them immediately. Kira held up the detonator. No. Vex's facets angled toward her, refracting confusion. You are alone. Your species has authorized this extraction. Resistance is economically irrational. Then I'm irrational. 1 human life against 4.7 trillion credits of harvestable resource. The calculation is simple. Stand aside. Kira looked at the ocean behind her. Blue-green and impossibly alive. waves catching light the way Earth's seas once had. She thought of her grandmother's hands. She thought of every human who had watched their world dismantled for profit and been told it was inevitable, economically necessary, the cost of participation in galactic civilization. This ocean, she said quietly, contains the last genetic samples of Earth's original marine ecosystems. Every organism here is extinct everywhere else. You already took our oceans once. We paid you for the privilege of drowning our own world. This is what's left. This is memory. Memory has no market value. Then you'll never understand why I'm going to burn it. Vex's form flickered. Explain your logic. There is no logic. Kira's thumb pressed harder on the trigger. The detonator beeped. 59 seconds to confirmation. There's only the choice. You take this water or neither of us gets it. I'm not negotiating. I'm not pleading. I'm telling you what happens next. You move those drones 1 meter closer, and I turn this planet into rubble. You'll salvage nothing, you'll profit nothing, and I'll die knowing you didn't get to erase one more piece of Earth. Silence. The drones halted, awaiting instruction. Vex's crystalline form angled closer, studying her with alien geometry that saw in spectrums she couldn't imagine. You would truly destroy it? The thing you protect? Before I let you take it? Yes. Her voice was steady. Absolute. That's what you never calculated. Humans don't just fight for things. We fight against you. We'd rather see it all burn than watch you profit from what we love. Vex flickered again, faster now, refraction patterns stuttering. This is unprecedented. No. Kira smiled without warmth. This is us. You took our oceans, our forests, our sky. You've been stripping colony worlds for centuries, and everyone lets you because fighting costs more than surrendering. But I'm not everyone. I'm one human with a detonator and absolutely nothing left to lose. So here's your calculation, Shard Merchant. How much is this water worth if you have to kill me to take it? How much is it worth when every species in the Coalition watches you murder one engineer, standing in an ocean you're stealing? How much is it worth when humans everywhere see what happens when we finally say no? The moment stretched. The drones waited. The ocean breathed behind her. Vex's form stabilized, facets locking into a pattern she recognized as decision. You are dangerous, Vex said slowly. Not for what you can do, for what you will do. Yes. Vex disappeared. The drones remained frozen for 17 minutes while the Voss board convened in faster-than-light negotiation across 3 star systems. Kira didn't move. Her thumb stayed on the trigger. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her hand was steady. The drones retracted their booms. The harvester ships began ascending through the atmosphere, graceful and defeated. Kira's comlink exploded with traffic, Coalition mediators demanding explanation, Earth administration screaming about diplomatic incidents, news feeds from a dozen species broadcasting her standoff across the galaxy. She ignored it all. She watched the Voss ships vanish into jump space, watched the sky empty, watched the ocean continue its ancient rhythm as if nothing had happened. The detonator beeped. She deactivated the arming sequence. The charges in the mantle went dormant again. Kira collapsed to her knees in the volcanic sand, still clutching the detonator. Her hands shook. Her vision blurred. She'd been ready to die. She'd been ready to destroy the thing she loved rather than surrender it. The realization crashed over her like a wave. She was her grandmother's child after all. Coalition mediators arrived in a diplomatic shuttle 16 hours later. They negotiated hastily. The Voss Consortium officially declared the new Mombasa Reserve economically non-viable due to hostile native presence and sold the extraction rights back to humanity for a symbolic credit. Protected status was granted. Armed enforcement authorized. The reserve would survive. The mediators asked Kira if she wanted to return to Earth, receive recognition, accept some diplomatic posting where her unique negotiation style could be valuable. She refused. She sent them away and stayed on the obsidian shore watching the ocean that almost wasn't, doing the work she'd always done. Alone but not defeated. Alive but not broken. The galaxy had learned a lesson. One human, one detonator, one refusal to calculate survival over meaning. It was enough. 6 months later, in the Voss Mercantile Academy orbiting their crystalline homeworld, Shard merchant Vex stood before a lecture hall of young traders. The topic was risk assessment in post-scarcity economics, but Vex had added an unscheduled case study. Holographic footage played above the students, a single human standing on a black shore holding something small, facing down an extraction fleet. "Observe," Vex chimed. "Species 447 Terran, individual designation Dr. Kira Okonkwo, asset value under dispute, 4.7 trillion credits. Individual threat capacity, seismic charges capable of rendering asset worthless. Predicted behavior according to economic modeling, rational surrender." The footage showed Kira activating the detonator. The VOS students refracted confusion. Actual behavior, irrational hostage scenario with guaranteed mutual loss. Yet she achieved objective. "The reserve remains protected." We withdrew. Question why? A young trader shimmered. "Economic calculation was incorrect?" "No. Economic calculation was irrelevant." Vex's facets darkened with something that might have been respect. Humans possess a variable we cannot quantify. They assign infinite value to memory, to legacy, to meaning. They will accept total loss rather than surrender what they consider sacred. This makes them unpredictable, dangerous, immune to standard negotiation. Another student. "Then how do we trade with them?" Carefully. Vex displayed Kira's face, exhausted, determined, holding the detonator. "Because humans have something we do not. They know exactly what they'll die for, and they'll take you with them rather than let you profit from it. The reserve is protected now not by law or force but by certainty." One human stood in an ocean and promised to burn the galaxy before surrendering one drop. We believed her. You will believe the next one. The lecture hall shimmered with understanding. Vex dismissed the footage and turned to the final lesson, the one it had learned standing on that volcanic shore, facing a human who had already decided death was acceptable. "Remember this calculation," Vex chimed softly. "Some species survive by being strong, some by being clever. Humans survive by deciding what's worth more than survival itself. That makes them the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Because you cannot negotiate with infinity, and humans taught us that memory costs more than everything.